everyone, welcome back to another session of the Hopry. I think we're getting even closer to session number 200. I'm really excited about that. I think we're maybe at around 193 to 195-ish by the time this one posts, not really sure. But anyway, closing in on that 200 mark pretty quickly. So from here on out up until 200, I really wanted to share some beers that I've been hanging on to for a while. Ones that are, I guess you could say, a little bit harder to find, a little bit more special. And the first one that I want to share is from Founders. Go figure, right? I mean, it's still one of my favorite breweries, probably my favorite brewery. But this is a beer that they released about this time last year. I actually wanted to hang on to this one for a while. It's basically a big American dark barley wine. But 12% ABV, really big beer. If you look on the side of the bottle, it even says that it has 100 IBUs. So I'm really imagining a lot of hops. In fact, to me, I'm thinking this is probably a dark version of their triple IPA, the Devil Dancer. But yeah, really excited to try this one. Again, I don't drink much barley wines on here. Typically because they just come in really big bottles and they tend to be so high in ABV that I really prefer to share those with others. But this is a small 12-ounce bottle, which pretty much all of Founder stuff comes in these 12-ounce bottles, with the exception of some of the newer releases like Blushing Monk and CBS, which obviously come in those bigger format bottles. But let's go ahead and bust this one open and get the night started here. Really in the mood for a barley wine. I don't know why, but here it goes. Let's go ahead and pour this one in. Alright, and I'm not going to pour a whole lot because, I really like to get my swirl on with these things. I like to open them up a little bit. Traditionally with, big barley wines like this, things that are really heavily malty, things that, beers that have a lot of alcohol in them, which this one does, they typically will, benefit from a little bit of oxygen, a little bit of time out of the bottle. But this one really does pour this really dark ruby red and brown color. Looks like a really dark, like a cherry Coke. But the head on it, not a bad sized head on it. Got this really nice kind of a medium tan colored head. Pretty good looking bubbles on there, nothing too extraordinary, but yeah, I can already smell those dark fruits coming out of there. I mean, this is clearly a barley wine. Everything about the aroma coming out of it just screams barley wine. I get like these rum soaked raisins, dates, you get the plums. There's a tartness to it. There's almost a bit of an oaky character in there as well. Now I'm not sure if this is aged in oak or even if a portion of it is aged in oak, but definitely smells like something that could have been aged in good American oak. Definitely can tell it's sweet. Get a little bit of booziness from the nose. But yeah, this one really smells a lot like what I thought it would. I'm really curious to see what the malts do though, since they are darker. And most barley wines typically are, a lot lighter than these. So why don't we go ahead and dig in and let's see what it's got to offer. Cheers. Well, I'm really not tasting the 100 IBUs. Now again, I've let this one sit for a while, so when it was released, it probably had a lot more of a aroma and flavor hop profile than it does now. Now it's really sort of this underlying grassy, hoppy bitterness that is really kind of supporting the dark malts in here. I'm definitely getting a lot of that rich sweetness from the malts, like the dark fruits, rum-covered raisins, rum-soaked raisins, figs, dates, the traditional dark fruits that we talk about. Those hops almost give it, in conjunction with, I'm trying to think of how I wanted to say that, in conjunction with the hops and the malt, really almost gives it like a like a drying coffee espresso finish. But there's definitely everything in there. You know, you get those grassy, spicy, drying hops. You get the dark fruits from the malts. There's a touch of alcohol, not a whole lot. For 12%, I would have imagined it would have had a little bit more burn. But now again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to let this one sit for a year, was to kind of let it calm down just a little bit, which I think it's done. But yeah, all in all, you know, just another successful beer for Founders. I would say that it's, you know, far from my favorite offering that they have. You know, I did a week of Founders beers last year, I believe it was. And the Backwoods Bastard, I think, was probably the best of the week. That one in the KBS as well. I don't think this is on the same level as those, just because it's very traditional. You know, and maybe if I'd have reviewed it sooner, when it first came out, maybe I would have had a different experience. But yeah, really good beer. You know, it's definitely going to get pretty good markings from me, because it does taste really well, or tastes really good. It's executed very well. But just not something that, you know, is blowing my mind and making me want to track down some more. But yeah, you know, that's it for today. Just a really good beer, and as we approach 200 sessions, I hope you guys will continue to stick around, and hopefully, as I've said before, we should have something pretty good lined up for you for 200. So, well, that's it for today, guys. My name is Mark Starr. Have a good day. Cheers.